Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast brought to you on YouTube. Also, audio versions of the show are available on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. Joining me tonight for coverage of the FA Cup fourth round draw. Two very happy Liverpool fans, I would imagine. Through to the next round, even with everything going against us in terms of players and the virus and AFCON and everything. So we'll take it and we'll get into that. You'll see it later in our match reaction on the channel. But this is our coverage of the fourth round draw. Dino, how are we?
Could not be better, my man. Could not be better. As you know, I'm an avid fan of the underage system at Liverpool, and I'm like a proud father today to see so many getting a game. Some performed, some the nerves got a bit the better of them, but look, 4-1 win at home, first game in 2 weeks, massive game coming up during the week. I think we needed that goal to give us a little kick in the arse, but all around happy man. Just waiting on the usual now. We always seem to get that little easy number in the third round of the FA Cup, so I'm expecting Man City, Chelsea, or the winner of United and Villa in the next round.
Yeah, and you know something, I take the winner of Villa or United because I wouldn't mind seeing Philip Coutinho again up against the Reds. That'd be an interesting.
Me personally, now I'd love Bottom Wood at Anfield to give them a massive day out. It's all about the magic of the FA Cup, not playing your league title fucking foes, but yeah, come here. It's the look of the draw, isn't it? And we take who we get. But it would be nice to get that magic of the FA Cup and get someone that's coming up from League One or non-league.
The romance of the FA Cup.
Exactly.
What was your making of who's gone out? Leeds went out today. Newcastle crashed out yesterday.
Come here. Unsurprisingly, Leeds crashed out yesterday. I watched a couple of interviews during the week. One with Ryan Taylor, who was a Liverpool fan, but he played for Newcastle, and he was talking about the richest club in the world. I was like, whoa, mate, you need to just take about 10 steps backwards and talk about the realism of Newcastle Football Club at the moment, because regardless of how much money they have, I'm convinced that they're going down. Yesterday, I only realised after I'd seen the result that they were at home as well. It's just not acceptable. They had a full strength team out, and Eddie Howe should have been looking at that as getting well, maybe he was, and they're just shit. But he should have been looking at that as get a win against Cheltenham, get a bit of momentum going, get a bit of confidence up. Yeah, Leeds gone out, just gone all wrong for them this year, isn't it? You know, the injuries aren't helping, but. Yeah. Personally, I think that Bielsa would probably more than be happy to be out of the cup now and just have that sole focus of getting a little run going in the second half of the season. Just looking at the results from today, Spurs survived the scare. Kind of as expected today, the results.
Yeah, a number of teams survived the scare. I mean, if you look at Everton yesterday, lucky to get through against Hull. If you look at Southampton, very lucky to get through. They were down to 10 men, I think, just about got through against Swansea. Brighton, Maupay again with a late one in injury time to get Brighton through. So yeah, there was some real scares out there for the Premier League sides, and obviously with everything that's going on with players that they're missing for whatever reason, through injury or the virus or AFCON or whatever it is, the Premier League teams are really failing at the moment. I mean, Spurs really struggled today against Morecambe, and it was only when they brought on the likes of Kane and Moira and players like that, that's when they turned it up a notch, really, you know.
Yeah, just looking at the goal here from the Liverpool game that they scored, the old shithousery from, he's obviously a United fan, doing the Ronaldo celebration, but like fair play to Shrewsbury. I know we were talking about the other games, but fair play to Shrewsbury, like they had no fear, you know what I mean? It took them scoring for us to kind of. It looked like the Liverpool of old, where, you know, it took us going a goal down to kind of get the heads out of the sand. But yeah, look, these things happen. We're just looking at some of the results from yesterday. You know, you'd love to be a neutral. The Barnsley and Borough game 5-4. Kidderminster, you know, you just seen some of that romance of the FA Cup yesterday. The scenes in the dressing rooms. Boreham Wood winning, Kidderminster beating Reading. That's you love that as a neutral, don't you? And as you said, looking at the big games today, like Spurs surviving the scare, but had to throw on the big guns. I just want a special mention out to Simon Jordan, you fucking wanker. Sorry for the language. He was all about Liverpool having to field their under nines during the week. It was like, if there's players available, tough. You know, we're all suffering through COVID. Sorry, pal. I don't think you realise, but the whole of the Liverpool training facilities was closed down. I don't think you've been around the last couple of years to know that we moved from our original training facility to where we are now. So the whole of the club could train in the one place. So that kind of, with a bit of common sense, Simon, means everybody was out training. You fucking pillock. You just go back to your sunbed and dye in your hair, and we'll worry about the Liverpool stuff
I think part of it is he was trying to get the Gooners
trying to be relevant.
He was trying to rally up the Gooners in terms of, because the match was called off and stuff like that. But today, obviously,
I have a couple of friends who are Arsenal fans, and they're more than happy with the way things have gone, that the first leg is now at Anfield and the second leg is at the Emirates. More than happy with the outcome of things. But yeah, this fella likes, him and Jamie O'Hara, they like to say stuff to stay relevant, you know, kind of throw that little spanner out there that people might...
Well, I even said it the other day, the last thing we would want is that the first leg is on Anfield. We'd always want the second leg at Anfield.
100 million%.
So even though they turned around and they postponed the game, they still find a way to kick us, you know, that kind of way.
That's as soon as I posted what the announcement was, and you were like, even when they help us, they fuck us.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? And it's true. It's absolutely true, because no one else has had this. You know what I mean? No one else has had a game postponed like that, but had a fixture changed and being punished about it. Now, I know Spurs moved out of the Europa Conference and stuff like that, and they're appealing it and stuff like that. But seriously, like, you know what I mean? To turn around and go, right, well, because of fixture congestion, which is, you know, it's not Liverpool's fault that there's fixture congestion. We can't do anything about this situation. Same as any other club, you know what I mean? But I just, you know, you just look at it and you go, yeah, we're going to reschedule the game. So your first leg is going to be at home, your second leg is away. And I'm there going, that's proper shithousery, really. You know, I mean, we didn't have a team. We didn't even have a manager. Our third or fourth guy took training for 2 days.
I seen Robbie Fowler said that he'd be more than willing to step in and manage the team for the game.
He'd be nearly more than willing to step in and play up front for us the way things were going.
Right, we're here to do a show on the FA Cup draw, which is about to start. But I'll leave it on the subject of Liverpool with this.
So who do you want them to draw?
Come here, I don't. You're obviously going to say you don't care who you get. I really want to get United at Anfield, but I also want United to lose tomorrow night against Villa because they're at home as well. But just on the subject of Liverpool, I just want to say this one more time. Liverpool Football Club makes the whole of England's piss boil, and I fucking love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah, well, we're here. You're joining us anyway, live for a live reaction.
What would you like in the cup, Niall?
I honestly, do you know, when you talk about these cups, it's similar than when we talk about the Champions League or the Carabao Cup. I honestly at times don't care who we get, because you're going to have to beat people on the way to get to the final. So it doesn't really bother me at all, you know. I mean, obviously, we'd probably at this stage, with everything that's going on and with the players we have out and players that are away and stuff like that, probably want to avoid the likes of City and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But then, you know, outside of that, I'm not really overly concerned, to be honest. You know what I mean?
No.
But yeah, the draw's just starting there now. They'll go through the formalities of it, letting us know what the numbers are and stuff like that. And then once the draw starts, we'll bring it to you. This is our live reaction, but the episode will go out in about.
Our number 6 in the. I think we ball number 6. Are we?
David James. He's always very dapper, isn't he?
He's like Benjamin Button. He is. He looks younger now than when he played in Liverpool 20 odd years ago.
Keeps himself in great nick, doesn't he?
Yeah, big time. He'd fancy himself now one of them white suits in 2022, wouldn't he?
Yeah, 100%.
I think he was the only Liverpool player who didn't mind wearing a fucking white suit back then.
Absolutely, yeah. There's that iconic trophy now, the FA Cup. How do you feel about the FA Cup? I know over the last few years, Klopp has kind of like both the League Cup and the FA Cup. He kind of hasn't really bothered with it really because of our involvement at the top of the league in terms of title race or top four, and also our involvement in the Champions League. So both of these have gone on a back burner, but you get the feeling this year he's a little bit of interest in both.
I think the way things have gone with the squad and losing players through injury, and like, let's kind of be honest, it's going to take a massive amount of luck now for it to go on and win the league. I don't fear anybody in the Champions League. 2 massive games coming up with Inter Milan. But regarding the league, I think Klopp has realised now. I was reading an article in the Sunday World saying that like Liverpool Football Club needs to get the romance of domestic trophies back, because there was a time where probably once every 2 years we'd be going to Anfield South, i.e. Wembley. First ball out of hat is number 18, but Crystal Palace at home. I'd absolutely love a domestic. Come here, everybody would love a domestic trophy double this year, but how nice would it be to get over to Wembley this year for the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup final and celebrate a trophy? Hartlepool away to Crystal Palace, first game of the draw.
Nice. They'll be very happy with that.
Yeah. Bournemouth against Bournemouth. Bournemouth won't, they fancy themselves in that, massive amount of momentum coming through. Huddersfield Town. Ooh, you love seeing them draws where the teams around the same leagues are getting each other, and a massive incentive of getting.
Gives them a chance to go on further, maybe a good chance to progress in it, get a few quid as well.
Peterborough United at home. Man City, I'm expecting here. She's all the lower league teams getting each other. This is all setting up for the last 4 or 6 balls, isn't it? The top 6 in the Premier League.
Yeah.
26.
Do you know what I also like about the FA Cup draws as well? Like, there's no messing about.
No.
Like, with the Champions League, it just takes forever. With this, it's exciting. It's just straight up. There's no messing.
United versus Luton Town. The first 4 games out here, all those clubs, you want the big teams, but they're going to be massively happy with what's coming out. Here we go. Number 4. I thought we were number 4. Number 6, we must be then. Southampton. Number 8. Coventry, I fancy their chances there. They're going well in the Championship.
Yeah, and Southampton struggling.
You think they're a few bob on Southampton having a player sent off every game. Chelsea, come on, Man City. No, not Man City. Chelsea be playing the big guns in that game again after yesterday. Jesus. Everton. Take Everton every day. That'd be a massive game for Everton. Wouldn't it, getting a big team out of Premier League at home?
There was a Chelsea versus Everton.
No, Chelsea versus Plymouth Argyle. Everton versus Brentford. Number 11. Kidderminster Hardius. We'll take that. That's
a tough game for Everton.
This is setting up nicely for Liverpool versus Man City. No, I'm telling you. West Ham away to Kidderminster Hardius.
Awesome.
Manchester United versus Aston Villa versus Middlesbrough. Number 17. Tottenham Hotspur at home versus
Spurs
versus Brighton and Hove Albion.
That's a great tie.
2 massive names still left in the bag. Number 6, Liverpool at home versus number Cardiff City at home. We'll take that, Niall. We'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely.
A replay of the Carling Cup final.
Yeah.
Number 3, Stoke City. There's really anybody left in it that you probably fancy their chances against Man City. Wigan Athletic versus Stoke. Massive games for them lower league clubs as well, getting that bit of a cup run going, getting that few bob coming in, especially after the pandemic, after riddling them all with death. Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal, or Arsenal versus Leicester City. trying to think who was left for Man City.
That's a tough one as well.
Yeah, Man City at home. Number 16. Fulham. Hardy Wilson to score a hat-trick. One at the death to knock them out. The last two balls. 25. Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Norwich City. Norwich be looking for that game. They should be relegated by the time that game comes around, so they might fancy themselves a little FA Cup win before they go down, like Wigan back in the day.
I don't know. The way the points are panning out in the league, it's going to take a while before someone's confirmed as relegated, isn't it? Because they're all just dropping points.
Yeah, definitely. Some massive games there. Like, even outside, if you look outside the Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool and Chelsea, Spurs maybe, like the lower teams that you would be talking about, the romance of the cup and getting the bigger teams, I think the way things have gone with the pandemic and the financial obscurity that they fell into, I think they'd be more than happy with getting teams around where they are in their leagues or lower, because it means going into that fifth round, you'd expect with the way the draw's gone, you'd expect Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, Man United or Villa, Chelsea to go through, and then you look at them other fixtures and they'd be like, you know, getting to the fifth round, you get the money for getting to the fifth round, and then chances are the gate of those games, whether they be at home, Man City, they're going to donate money to the lower league clubs from the gate.
They always do well out of it anyway. They always look after the fans as well. The fans, they always give them a good deal on the tickets. And
they pay for the buses and all. You'd expect that from the bigger clubs.
Yeah. So what you're thinking, if we run down through just the Premier League, and so you have Palace versus Hartlepool, that's a Palace all day, isn't it?
Yeah, expecting Palace all day, especially at home. Just while we're talking about Palace, subject to talk about on the match tomorrow night, the Millwall fans are an absolute disgrace.
Yeah,
an
absolutely.
Absolute fucking disgrace.
Yeah,
Liverpool got called out. Yeah, Liverpool got called out for chance towards a Norwich player there recently because he played for Chelsea, and they were vilified for it. They need to start talking about other teams doing it and making an example.
Yeah, absolutely. Southampton versus Coventry. That's an interesting one. That'll be a decent toy, won't it?
Very, very. You'd expect on paper Southampton to go through, but Coventry are flying this year. Coventry have kind of lost that fear factor. They've been in obscurity for 5 or 6 years, and they're doing very, very well. I'd love Coventry to get to the playoffs. Two of my uncles, Richard and Michael, are avid Coventry fans, so delighted for them to get a draw where, you know, on the day, you know, if they take their chances, a young squad, they're flying high in the championship at the moment. You know, anything can happen in that game. The way Southampton are going as well with injuries and having players sent off every week, they'd be lucky to have a full strength 11 by the time this game comes around. So, yeah, you'd expect Southampton, but anything can happen in that game.
Chelsea versus Plymouth, be straightforward enough, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Plymouth win all day.
Yeah. Everton Brentford, that's a good toy.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends on where Brentford are at the time of that. I'm going to go with Brentford on that. Brentford just, you know, Everton are kind of Jekyll and Hyde this season. Got a bit lucky yesterday, if we're honest. Obviously, being a Liverpool fan, you'd like Brentford to win there, but it's you know, 50-50 on that one. But Brentford on that day could give them a right going over.
I don't know. Would we fancy Brentford there? I might fancy Everton to go through, and maybe we could get Everton in the next round. I'd rather play Everton in the next round than Brentford, to be honest.
Yeah, we'd have to go over again, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Kidderminster, West Ham. Hammers. They're doing well, aren't they? They're playing well. They're a cup team with Moisey.
Lanzini's kind of reinvigorated himself. Jared Bowen is a smashing player. They've got some very, very good players there. David Moyes has built something really, really good there. Outside of the top four, you know, West Ham are kind of going about their business. You'd like to think that they might keep that momentum going in the second half of the season. But then as the season goes on, he might look and say, right, well, kind of top four might be out of reach by the time this comes around. And they might look at the FA Cup as a chance of silverware this year. But yeah, West Ham all day.
And then the winner of Villa United versus Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough were very impressive yesterday, first half. But then they kind of fell away and they let the team back into it again. But they were 2-0 up and they were cruising. And they seemed to just fall asunder.
Yeah, they've kind of got a little second wind. They were doing very, very badly at the start of the season. And is Dean Smith gone in there now, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, Dean, since he's gone in, he's kind of brought that Premier League now scene and probably working with what he...
No, not Dean Smith. Sorry, Dean Smith's gone to Norwich. Chris Wilder, sorry, yeah. I knew it was
sorry. Chris Wilder going in, you know, he's got that now. He's been there before in the Championship with Sheffield United. So, you know, he's probably gone in, obviously he's gone in with a new mindset and giving them a little burst of life. But they'd be looking at this as a little chance to get them a bit of momentum going. I'd say the playoffs are a bit out of reach for them this season. But after the start of the season, they're doing quite well now. But on their day, you know, Villa, you know, might get caught cold. Man United, you just don't know what Man United is going to turn up. So, you're not. Me, honestly, I know it's a top Premier League team against a Championship team, but I wouldn't be surprised, regardless of who gets through tomorrow night, if Middlesbrough done them. It's the magic of the FA Cup now. We've seen it happen before. You know.
Yeah, Middlesbrough have a good cup pedigree there as well. So, as a club, you know, Spurs versus Brighton. That's one of the toys of the round, isn't it? Potter versus Conte. Spurs not firing on all cylinders at the moment, but kind of getting the job done. Yeah, but Brighton seem to be showing a bit of form at the moment. Potter, they're starting to put together a few results now after a barren spell of draws, let's say.
Yeah, and Maupay is on fire. Another one at the death yesterday. I'm gonna stick my neck out here, and I think Brighton might do them by the odd goal.
Yeah, I'd nearly think that as well. Yeah. Liverpool, Cardiff. It's Liverpool, isn't it?
Liverpool every day of the week.
Forest and Arsenal, who are playing this evening against Leicester. Not sure. You'd expect Arsenal to go through, wouldn't you? You expect Arsenal.
I was looking at the Arsenal team there. They have Charlie Patino, and you know they have a few young lads out there tonight. But you know that experience that they have in the team, I expect Arsenal to win comfortably here tonight. And then going through, Arsenal against Leicester seems an intriguing tie. You know, Leicester have been Jekyll and Hyde. They've been hot and cold. They got lucky to do us. We couldn't take our chances in the league there last week. The winner of this game now was at home against Leicester.
Yes. So
I'm gonna go
likely Arsenal at the Emirates against Leicester.
I expect Arsenal to win here tonight, and then I expect Arsenal to beat Leicester at home. Arsenal are flying this season. They got over that little blip at the start of the season, and they've been and they're playing some good football as well. We talked about it last week. Getting Aubameyang out of that team has been it's a blessing in disguise. He's obviously throwing his toys out of the pram, and it's worked out. If you're an Arsenal fan and you disagree with what I've just said, you're not a footballing brain, because they needed him gone. You need that big ego. They've got young lads coming through. Yeah, it's all well and good. Aubameyang's one of the best strikers in football, but you need to have a collective unit. It can't be us and we have Aubameyang. Push him out. Get rid of him now in January on loan if you can, or sell him. That's even better. Get a few bob in. Arsenal have a great setup now. They've got some great players coming through. Tierney is back. Xhaka, I know he's out of the game tonight after testing positive as well, but if you're an Arsenal fan, I'm not saying that they're on the way back to winning trophies, but you know they're definitely going in the right
direction. They're competitive. They're back competitive again. There's a bite and a hunger there again.
So unlucky against Man City last week. Unlucky.
A couple of unlucky decisions really did them, and a couple of players with a bit of stupidity really. Man City, Fulham. It's Man City, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Man City could play I was going to say their whole second 11. We don't even know what their strongest 11 is. Never mind the second 11. Yeah, respect Man City all day in that. Very, very comfortable.
And then another intriguing tie. Two teams with Wolves versus Norwich. Wolves, after turning over United and obviously winning well today. Norwich kind of flattering to deceive, struggling at times, look okay, and then they recess again. What are you thinking on this one, Wolves?
I'm going with Wolves, second best defensive record in the league. slow start to the season. I've got motoring now. Yeah, I'm going to go Wolves on that. Just while we're talking about Wolves, Adama Traore starting today and whipped off, I think, after 55, 60 minutes. If this fella wants his career to kind of take another level, he needs to get his head out of his arse and stop worrying about putting Vaseline on his arms. He has all the talent in the world, but he just seems to be declining rapidly. He reminds me of that dude that used to play for QPR. What was his name? Adel Tarapt. Swear to God, I've never seen a player as good with the ball at his feet as Adel Tarapt. And he just believed in his own hype and he just fell out of obscurity. And that's the way Adama Traore is going. He's been linked with Liverpool copious amounts of time, but he's just not consistent enough. And you'd look at today's fixture against Sheffield United and think, right, here's a chance for me. The pressure of the league is off. Go out here, do the business, probably might get a goal, whipped off early on, and he's just far before he knows he's going to be playing in the Championship again with the likes of Fulham or something like that.
I wonder was he whipped off early because there's a pending medical on the cards this week for a move or something like that.
Yeah, I wonder too who, because Liverpool
Spurs are heavily linked with him as well.
Do you think though, if he goes to the likes of Spurs or if he goes to Liverpool, that he can reignite that fire? And because he's in the mixing pot of challenging for top four and European trophies with Spurs, he won't be. But do you think that he's probably looking at it saying, I need this move now to get me head out of my arse?
I think going to Spurs, yes. I think at Spurs, I think he could reignite his career under Conte. Because I think what Spurs' conundrum is at the moment is because they don't have that forward press from midfield that they're lacking. I think they need someone like a Traore, because what they're doing is they're relying on Kane to come back and drop deep all the time, pick up the ball, and then feed the likes of Son or Moira or whoever it is either side of him. And then he has to make that move into the box. And the work rate is probably becoming a little bit too much for him, you know what I mean? And I just see more often than not when I watch Spurs at the moment, you've Kane dropping so deep to try and be the play. Similar to what we get at times with Bobby Firmino, where he's nearly playing as a midfielder with a front two nearly, because he drops so deep to pick up the play at times when he's not involved. And I think if a Traore went in there and he made those runs, you know, I mean, I don't know whether we'll ever get to a point where he finds his shooting boots. He just doesn't seem to have a finish on him, but he's certainly
Ask me why I'm smiling.
Go on.
Now look, Bobby is back, baby. Yes. There's nothing. I said it to my brother after the game. There's nothing, and he'll quote me on this. There's nothing makes me happier than seeing Bobby Firmino smile.
Yeah. I
fucking love that guy. Now look, Bobby is back, baby.
What you're thinking? We had a discussion on it there last week. Is Jota first choice now and Bobby second, or what do you think, realistically?
Yeah,
as much as we love both of them.
As much as I love both of them, but Bobby, you know how the love I have for Bobby Firmino. If I could have his kids, I probably would. Sorry, Mandy, if you ever come across this podcast, but I just think you can't deny how good of a signing Diogo Jota had. First of all, when Diogo Jota signed for Liverpool, none of us expected it. None of us expected it. It came so out of the blue. To hit the ground the way he has, especially with the games he's missed through injury as well, it's phenomenal. He's second in the top scorers list in the Premier League. I do believe now that he might get another 3 or 4 now with Mo out, and then when Mo comes back, the two of them are head-to-head for the top scorer in the league. That's phenomenal, because you have that hunger of Mo. You know, he just wants greatness. He wants to go up levels every single week. And then Jota, he's playing without fear. But what I'm looking forward to most is I think we're going to see a new formation. I think that's kind of going to be Jota and Bobby kind of playing as a front two, not necessarily a front two, but kind of one behind the other. And I think we're going to see a 3-5-2. And we talked about this during the summer about a new formation at Liverpool. And I'm actually quite intrigued to see what way we set up against Brentford next week. Not necessarily in the League Cup, but I'm looking forward to seeing what way we set up against Brentford in the league next week, because I think that could work really, really well. We've seen Andy Robertson he took a bit of a knock today. I'd love to, not saying that I'd like to see Tsimikas left out, because he's been a great deputy when he's come in. But I'd love to see a 3-5-2 with Trent playing higher, Robbo playing higher, because we know that the distribution, when they're on the game, they're outstanding. With the three boys at the back, Matip, Van Dijk and Konate, when we're on the, on the back foot, the two boys just slotting in, because we've seen it a lot of times when Liverpool play. When Man City play teams, the opposition just shit the bed. They're afraid of their life because they know if they concede one early on that it could be a cricket score. What I've noticed with Liverpool is whenever they play, teams kind of know which way we play. So they set up with the bank of 5 and 4, or else 4 and 5. And whenever we're on the attack, it's just compact. It's just everything just comes into line, and we have nothing. So I'd like to see a 3-5-2 against Brentford next week with the two boys up top. I genuinely am expecting Jota to really, really tear into that top scorers chart now with Mo Way and do the business. We've got Brentford at home, and then I think we've got Burnley, Leicester, and I'm not sure who the fourth game is before the boys come back. But I'm expecting big things now. I know a lot of us are kind of feeling the anxiety of how to cope with the two boys, the three boys gone away. But what are we going to do without Sadio and Mo? But realistically, Sadio's been off it this season, and here's a massive opportunity, because we talked about this before, Niall. When Mo, Sadio, and it's always Mo, Sadio, and Jota or Bobby. Bobby, I'm sure Klopp has told him this as well, and Sadio will know that he's not been up to scratch. Now is a chance for Bobby to come in, get a few goals under his belt, and then when the two boys come back, it's Sadio that has to work for his place, because Sadio's kind of been a shoe-in to start every week, and we've always said it's Jota or Bobby. Now Bobby's only back from injury, but he's got a massive opportunity now to come back in, get that smile back on his face, play the way we know we can play, get a few goals under his belt, and then when Sadio comes back, it's look, Sadio, you have to get back into the team now. You haven't been doing it. The fans have still supported you, but we're still in with a sniff of the league. It's going to take a lot of luck for Man City to drop the points that we need them to drop. Yeah. We still want to finish the season kind of tidy, you know what I mean?
And that's a favourable draw there we got in the FA Cup as well against Cardiff, so all good at the moment. Well, this has been your coverage of the FA Cup 4th round. Thanks for joining me, bud. As always, head over to YouTube, the upper tier, drop a subscribe and like and notification, all that good stuff. Audio versions of the show on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and we will talk to you again real soon. Cheers, bud.
Peace out, man.